We've talked about OSPF hierarchy, and we know that our network design is something that's very important. So the question is, how can we apply a two-layer OSPF in a three-layer network? So we have a question to answer here. Should we place the area border in the distribution layer or the core? Remember that three-layer network is access, distribution, and core. Well, access is not going to be where we have our routers. That's going to be our end user connectivity in. Then we have our distribution layer, which is generally where the policy is going to be handled. And then we have the core layer, which is going to be usually fast packet transport, right? Not a lot of policy being applied there, really just moving the stuff as quick as we can. So where do we place the area border when we have this three-layer network? Well, the answer really is it depends. So there's two general principles that we could look at. The first general principle is separate complexity from complexity with our ABRs. So what are we talking about? Well, what we want to do is we want to take any complex part of the network and we want to put it in its own area. Well, what is a complex part of the network? What would we consider that to be? Well, the answer is actually pretty simple. Full mesh topologies are considered a complex part. We have a lot of neighbor relationships there. We have quite a bit of routing information that's being exchanged. We have link state databases that are being handled for our peers. We have neighbor relationships, like I said. So that's considered a complex part of the network. So we would want to separate complexity from other complexities with the area border router. Another part of the network, or another area that we would consider to be complex, would be a large-scale hub and spoke network. Okay, so again, another area that we want to separate some of the complexity here. And then finally, highly redundant topologies, multiple connections, a designated router, backup designated router, multiple links to each of them, all that kind of stuff. So really, when we think about this, we've got a lot of different complexities that we deal with, and we can make life simple by separating these complexities with an area border router, and then between areas, we obviously want to summarize as much as possible. We want to make sure that we don't end up with suboptimal routing, which means that we need to be careful. We need to be cautious in how we configure our summarization. But for the most part, if we look at it with these principles here, is separate complexity from complexity with ABRs, or place area borders where we're going to reduce the suboptimal routing and be able to do a lot more summarization, again keeping our tables small, then we're going to come up with the right answer. It's really not just a blanket statement that you can make that says, okay, this is what you need to do. You have to step back and look at your network. Are you a three-layer network? Okay, if you're a three-layer network, access, distribution, core, now we need to see how is it laid out, geographic areas, functional areas. Once we know where that's at, okay, where can we start putting our area border routers? Now, when we place an area border router, are we separating complexity? Are we making it so that we can summarize easily in this network? Again, that means that we really have to know how our addressing structure looks. But these are all factors that we need to consider when we are applying this OSPF hierarchy to our network.